Welcome one and all to the very first Gay Gaming Professionals Honors, where we spotlight the best in diversity and inclusion programs in and around the gaming industry. My name is MALIKA LIM EUBANK, and I'm the CEO of Hyper, a production company aiming to uplift underrepresented creators in gaming and entertainment. GGP Honors looks to celebrate all the good things happening in the gaming industry right now, and after the last 12 months, we could probably use some good news for once. There's no envelope to open here. Everyone here has shown that they are dedicated to making not only the industry, but the world a better place. Let's start things off right with one of the biggest names in publishing. Take-Two Interactive Software has taken us from courtside seats of a Lakers game to the dark side of Pandora. Now the publisher is looking to support communities through their innovative programs both internally and externally. Let's take a moment to honor Take-Two Interactive.
Hi, I'm Eleanor Roach, an agender queer person, my pronouns are they, them, from Take-Two Interactive Software. This last year, I was lucky enough to be part of a small group of queer folks who got together to build an employee resource group, Take-Two Queer, or T2Q. T2Q provides and promotes queer visibility, advocacy, community, and education at Take-Two through networking and educational events. I'm super stoked to be a founder and board member along with my colleagues Dana Goldstein, Tiffany Sang, Nick Johnson, Madeline McIsaac, Molly Seawalk, and our executive sponsor, who is fantastic, Greg Gibson. As part of Take-Two's commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, we firmly believe that Take-Two is at its best when people are able to be their most authentic selves. And T2Q offers a safe space for queer employees to do just that. Our goal has been to take a population that has long been invisible and form a community where we can be seen while recognizing the unique challenges and strengths within the queer community. There had always been a loose affiliation, a hangout, a meetup, someone to talk to ask for advice, or just to commiserate with. But with the pandemic distancing us, we realized we were going to have to be a lot more deliberate about building community. Our Black colleagues had launched an ERG the year prior, and we've had a women's group for quite some time. Some really good examples of what community can look like. James Baldwin has a lot of quotable lines, but this one really resonates here. And once you realize you can do something, it would be difficult to live with yourself if you didn't do it. So we did. It has been so rewarding being part of a small team that's been able to build something so meaningful. Take-Two's always been on board for this kind of thing, from donations to the American Foundation for AIDS Research to, very recently, working with USC Games to start the Gerald A. Lawson Endowment Fund for Black and Indigenous students. And we've been able to take that culture of giving, of compassion and respect, and make it uniquely queer. Our people have pronouns in their signatures. They have them in Slack. They have them on Zoom. I've been able to host conversations and presentations to our global community about pronouns in the workplace, to educate our allies and be a very visibly queer person. So not only do I get to be queer personally, I get to be queer professionally. And T2Q gets to exist in a space where we are valued for our perspective. Take-Two values creativity, innovation, efficiency, and it also values authenticity. It is powerful to be able to exist at work as your most authentic self, and that's something that we've been able to support within Take-Two through our culture and through our ERGs. It's powerful to have visible community. It's powerful to see people who are queer like you, with all levels of experience, with all kinds of titles, existing unapologetically as themselves. It's powerful to have a platform to support that. It's powerful to be supported. We can't gatekeep queerness. We can't gatekeep our marginalizations. While there are people who have more senior titles or more experience navigating systems that allow access to opportunities and resources, everyone, regardless of level or title, is an expert in their own marginalization. Everyone deserves to have an organization that will support them, not just by allowing Pride events in June, but by offering unconditional support, budget, space, resources, to allow marginalized communities, often overlooked and underrepresented, to grow and develop. If you want to build something like this at your org, you already have the expertise to do it. You are the subject matter expert. Your lived experiences are just as valuable to building these spaces as they are to connecting to the community around you. The more we can show up as ourselves unapologetically, the more we can put those experiences into our work. And that's good for everyone.
Sometimes you need a little power in your PC to keep the games going, and thankfully for us, AMD keeps our desktops humming with their high-performance products and their eye on diversity. The team supports the underrepresented through internal initiatives and in their gaming community. Let's honor AMD.
Hi, I'm Leslie Pirritano. I am your best friend at AMD, and I'm super excited and honored to be here today amongst an amazing group of honorees, and then also at this wonderful event hosted by the Gay Gaming Professionals. So thank you so much for having me. I am really fortunate to work for a company, to work for AMD, where I have a passion of supporting and promoting diversity in our industry, in the video game industry. I work for a company that supports those efforts and is excited about them, right? And so I have been enabled to do a variety of things with AMD throughout the past year and years, the 6 years that I've been here. And in fact, the passion and the reason for being able to do that is during the hiring process, when I was getting recruited, I got a call from an executive here, and she said, "Hey, I hear we're hiring you to support content and such, but I also hear you have a reputation for supporting women and LGBT and people of color and just diversity in general in the video game industry." And she said, "Come to AMD and help us change and grow as a company." And so I couldn't say no to that. And I've worked every day since to hold my feet to the fire and AMD's feet to the fire of those exact words: come and help us change and grow as a company. And I think, I like to think that I've stepped up to the plate, and I believe that AMD has as well in supporting not just my passion, but other people within AMD who have grown passion around diversity, equity, and inclusivity initiatives in one way or another. And to think of it, as a company, you have to have both internal and external representation to be successful in supporting efforts like this, right? So you need policies that are equitable to the variety of people that you have internally in an organization, so that whoever you are, that you feel safe and welcomed and supported in your organization. So AMD, encourages you to bring your whole self to work, right? And so we do, and I do. And then there's the external piece in doing things like creating the program that we have created with the AMD Red Team streamers and influencers. And so we've created a program where there's over 50 streamers and influencers, and greater than 85% represent diversity in one way or another. So women, people of color, LGBT, various abilities, et cetera. So it's a very robust program, with the goal being that anybody can find themselves in what we do. It's an acknowledgement that we're all gamers, and so you should be able to find yourself in everything that we do. And a reason for that is that there was a time, I've been in the video game industry 17 years, and there was a time where, even though I played video games, I didn't think of myself as a gamer, because when I looked around, it's all straight white male, right? That's all I saw. So that meant, it wasn't me. That's not me I'm seeing, so I can't be a gamer. And there's actually a moment where I realized that I was a gamer, and it's something that stands out, kind of like the moment where you came out, right? It's like, when I came out as a lesbian, I remember that, and I remember exactly when I realized that I was a gamer. And so the goal is, we shouldn't have to wonder, we are gamers, and we should be able to see ourselves in this industry. And some of the things that we've been able to do with the the program that we have is, work with different folks' passions as well, like bring in those passions. So, there's one influencer that works with inner city kids, and so we put programs behind supporting that. There's efforts to support women in the industry, right? You probably saw right before Pride or leading into Pride for the Gay Gaming Professionals stream, we were there, we kind of joined in and we rated, but we announced that we were providing laptops to all of the ESA and Gay Gaming Professionals sponsored LGBT scholarship winners. So that's another activity that we've done. We also do things like spotlight a streamer of the month and just kind of put promotional efforts around there. And every month it's a different person, so that, every month somebody else's amazingness is being shown and is being made more visible. So, so hopefully, hopefully our industry sees all the efforts that we're putting into supporting diversity, equity, and inclusivity. It's definitely very conscious to do such efforts, right? It's like it's really thought through, so that we can reach our goals and so that we can find representation for everyone. So, and that's important. I also want to kind of share with you a little, kind of something to take away with you, an action, if you will. And that is, being part of the industry, being a woman and a lesbian, there's something that I realized a long time ago, and that is to create change, there's two things, to create the change that I've seen in my life, or my life has become better. There's things that I've seen and that have led to that. And one is I have to be willing to be vocal about my own experiences. So I am, right? I speak up. This is me. This is what's happened. This is who I am. This is how it affects my life, et cetera, whatever my story is. The other piece that is equally important is the people who aren't like me, who have kind of stepped in and said, you're right, I've heard your story. You should have, this is an area you should have those rights. Like, my wife and I being married for the last 13 years, things like that, right? And so seeing that is what made me realize, it's the allies and the advocates that aren't like you who really kind of push things over, get that extra inch you need to get over the line, to get those rights or those equitable opportunities, to get those equitable opportunities, and things like that. So that made me realize, that I need to be an advocate. I need to be an advocate for people who aren't like me. And that's really what has led to the programs and the passions behind what I'm doing over at AMD, what I've been doing throughout my entire career, is just be an advocate for other people, for be an advocate for diversity, whether it's me or it's somebody else, So that's my challenge to you. Yes, be an advocate for yourself, but make sure you're an advocate for others. And with that, I thank you so much for having me here. It's been a real pleasure. I'm really honored with every time that I get to support and work with the gay gaming professionals. So thank you so much.
Some of you may know GGP as a charity that helps bring students from the LGBTQ plus community into the gaming industry through content and programs. And if you didn't, well, now you know. Since this is their first Honors Awards program, we have two members of the talented GGP team to explain what this all means.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hi, Abby.
Hi, Mace. How are you?
Well, I feel elated to be a part of this year's first year annual GGP Honors. So for those that don't know who I am, my name is Mason Powell. I help out with the GGP family. I help with all of our partnerships and events. And then this is also a member of our family.
Hi, everybody. I'm Abby Cedra. I'm also part of the GGP family. I handle events, sponsorships, DEI commitments, and our initiatives. So excited for tonight. Oh my gosh.
Right? Our first annual GGP Honors. Come on, that is something to celebrate, especially for
Absolutely.
those that we're honoring tonight. Yeah.
I'm really just so, I don't know, it just really pulls at my heartstrings. Just, as someone who sits in this space and has definitely probably felt all the same things that these individuals, these companies, and these teams have felt being in the wonderful world of diversity and inclusion. I just really just wanted to just kind of give a shout out to every single honoree, every person that we have been working with to bring this and put this and bring it alive. I think that it's super important. Let's face facts. We were in this pandemic a lot longer than we ever anticipated. We haven't really seen each other like in person, but we wanted to create impact and, really celebrate the voices of inclusion and belonging, and just really have a spotlight on the people that are doing the work and actually really putting themselves out there, for these underrepresented communities and individuals. And, Mace, how are you feeling about all of this? Like, it's a little emotional, right?
It is. It's super emotional. I mean, like, here we are in 2021 and we're still having these conversations, but I think it's just like incredibly important for us to shine a light on all of the like diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging efforts that, the companies in the games industry, individuals, even teams that are internal that they're making the effort to better ourselves and this next generation that's coming into the game industry. And it takes a lot out of us, for those that work in DEI, and for individuals to keep going and to just want to see a better world and create that better world for ourselves and for this next generation. I think that is a great thing for us to celebrate and for us to honor for all these individuals and companies today.
Yeah, I definitely want to echo to that. To every individual that's watching, we know things haven't been easy. We know things have definitely been a challenge, but you have put yourself like out there every single day, to better not only, like your company and your teams, but also yourselves. And, to be in this space, you really do have to do the work. And I think I've always said, like, diversity and inclusion, it's not just something trendy, it's actually something that you need to make your platform, you need to make your message, and you need to use your voice to basically amplify those voices that are, sometimes either are a little afraid to speak, or maybe they just don't know how to properly address, the situations and issues that they're facing. But the amazing nominees that we have tonight, these are the people that no matter what, at the end of the day, no matter how hard it is, no matter how, like, just basically bogged down that they feel, the weight of the world being on them, just everything, they constantly still do the work, and the results are there, and they are the positive change that we need, in our industries and just in our communities. And I think that just speaks such tremendous volume for, why tonight is so special. Mace, like, what are some highlights to basically like look forward to with our awards tonight?
I mean, we're covering a lot of diversity across all spectrums here. So we have neurodiversity. We're talking obviously of queer diversity, people of color. This is both like internally and outward facing things that companies have done. So it's either for within the company that they shared in these programs that they're implementing and commissioning, or it's something that is outward facing for the consumer. So we're covering both that. And honestly, like, I think this is also really special for our audience in the younger generation too, to see these individuals, see these companies, and just have them know that this exists and that these people are doing the work for them and for us to better our community. So
absolutely. And, I just want to say thank you so much to everyone that has helped contribute to making this production happen. I know this is definitely something we're so just excited for and so honored to be a part of. So on behalf of myself and also Mason, we're just really looking forward to just seeing what the future holds.
Yeah, thank you again. And we obviously want to continue lifting each other up and lifting you up, and what is in store for us for the future. So thank you.
Keep loving each other.
Yes.
Along with companies and individuals, GGP wanted to spotlight games that not only focus on diversity, but celebrated what made us unique. If Found is a story of a transgender woman in a small Irish village as she navigates the relationships of her family and the world around her. Here's the team to tell you more.
I'm Laura McGee. I'm an Irish writer, artist, and game maker with Dreamfield. Last year, Dreamfield released If Found, a game about a young trans woman in the early 90s returning to her home village in the west of Ireland. It was about the friends she makes as well as struggles she has with her family and being accepted by them. It's played largely through erasing but ends with creation, and even a character creator, which comes just before the credits, is probably my favorite bit. I'm honored to have the game highlighted by the Gay Gaming Professionals group. It's really special when your own peers recognize the work you've done. If Found wasn't actually originally conceived as an LGBT game. I think the possibility was always there, but I was kind of scared. But as we work on it, I grew in confidence, both in our ability to write these stories and that people would want to play it. And over time, our experiences and who we were seeped into the game more and more, both in the sense of Cassie being trans, of course, but also all the other characters too in the LGBT family around her. So Colm and Jack, Shance, and even Maggie, representing a past generation of LGBT people who were almost invisible in Ireland, for their own safety even. It means so much that we can now tell these stories about our lives and have them celebrated, and to celebrate each other's, and that younger LGBT people can experience these stories and see themselves reflected. However, what's most important to me is that such a game was made, that it was funded, and that LGBT people were paid to tell their own story. To me, in If Found's development, the most important thing was never the quality of the game so much as the well-being of the team. And I mean, I do think the latter helped the former. We worked 4-day weeks, we took time off when we weren't well, and while we definitely had a couple late nights at the end at various points, we took breaks immediately after them, the next week or the next day, not months later. I think all of this led to the quality of If Found, but more importantly, it helped the quality of the team's lives. I think Dreamfield can do better for our team, and I always want to improve. And I think this is the most important priority to have. I don't want to make one game and then leave the games industry or have my team leave. That's not the future I want. In recording this, I was asked what message I wanted to pass to this community, our community, and it's this. We can make awesome games, and we know that. We should be paid fairly for them, and we shouldn't be afraid to ask. And we don't need to sacrifice our lives for them, most of all. As much as playing games can be an important part of someone's life, and just one part, making them can be too. And I want to keep making games for the rest of mine. If Found wouldn't have been possible without the whole team. Eve Golden Woods for writing, Leah with her illustrations, Bree with their art and their Unity knowledge, Tim for coding, Matt and Ellie for music, Alex for production help, and Aparna, of course, for funding and their help with production, and so many more people. Games are made by groups of people, not only the team, but the communities they are part of. And I'm honored to have If Found celebrated by the Gay Gaming Professionals, and proud to call myself one too. It's pretty awesome. Take care, everyone. I look forward to watching the rest of the show. All the best from Ireland. Thanks. Bye.
As one of the leaders in mobile gaming, Jam City leads the way in bringing diversity into their ranks. Led by Andrew Gonzalez of their recruiting partnerships and programs, the publisher established internal groups, developed resources for those who needed it, and made sure that every voice was heard. Now let's honor Jam City.
Hello, GGP Honors and everybody who's tuning in. I wish we could all be in the same space today, celebrating all the amazing things that we're talking about today. But for now, a virtual setting will have to do. For those of you that I haven't met just yet, my name is Andrew Gonzalez. I'm a member of the team over here at Jam City, specifically working on our recruiting initiatives around diversity, inclusion, and all of our student recruiting for internships and at the programs that we have here at Jam City. It's an absolute honor to be able to create this segment and this piece to talk a little bit about some of the work that we're doing at Jam City to not only improve representation within the gaming space, but also to make it an inclusive space that allows this represented talent to come in and really foster in the space that they're in. I joined Jam City about 1.5 years ago, and from the moment I joined, I could tell that there was a lot of true care for representation in the gaming space. And something about our culture at Jam City just felt like there was authenticity behind why we wanted to improve diversity at our company, and also why we felt that it was important for not only our teams, but even more importantly for the product and the success of the product. In the last 1.5 years, the company has taken a lot of strides to improve, whether it's diversity in our recruiting or inclusion within our workforce, or talking about just ongoing topics in the world to make employees feel that they can bring their most authentic selves to work. I actually have seen so much work being done around these specific programs and initiatives that I had to make a list on my phone of all of the different things that I could talk about today that the company is doing. Outside of this list, there's a lot of stuff going on, but these are just some of my favorite. I think at the top of the list, when I think about all the different things that we're doing, is the fact that we doubled down and invested in the resources that we're putting towards diversity and inclusion in the company. And that started with hiring a head of diversity who is going to lead us through the strategy and through the implementation of a lot of the ideas that we had for the company. So about 6-7 months ago, we hired Fran Phillips here at Jam City. She leads up all of our she heads up all of our diversity, inclusion, belonging, and equity programs in the company. And she's done a phenomenal job at bringing structure into the company for each specific studio, department, and even region that we're in around how we approach the problems within diversity and inclusion. Fran joins us from the hospitality industry. She brought years of experience, not only in building programs, but also building data to support these programs to better guide the strategy behind what we do. So in the last 7 months alone, Fran has brought this personable sense to how we talk about diversity and inclusion in the company. She's been a part of a lot of different initiatives, but I think what I love the most about Fran is that she's very much a leader that will go in and actually have a conversation and won't just, talk to people, but rather talk with people. So her approach has been phenomenal. I wanted to give her a shout out right away because a lot of the programs and initiatives that I'll also touch on wouldn't be possible without Fran as well too. I think second to hiring a head of diversity, it was super important that we began to analyze data around our efforts with diversity and inclusion in the company. And that meant actually partnering with our data teams to finding these numbers around our recruitment efforts as well as around our workforce efforts. So within her first few weeks, Fran partnered with recruiting to analyze where in our pipeline are we seeing candidates drop off that maybe are coming from underrepresented backgrounds, or where on our teams is there more of an opportunity to improve representation. So she gave all of our recruiters these insights and this data to better help us make decisions around the specific talent that we source and attract into the company. This was super powerful because before then, we really didn't have the data to back us up and to really help us understand the makeup of our company, as well as where we needed to do more work. So by improving our data, we were able to then now go back into our recruitment efforts and say, these specific groups we should be targeting, and this is how we're going to do it. So it felt much more intentional. And overall just gave us more ammunition around resources that we needed to be able to target this talent to come to work at Jam City as well. So that was super powerful. That was something that Fran was able to do within her first few months, and something that our recruiting team really relies on now as we go about recruiting different people into the company. Outside of just recruitment efforts, it was also really important, again, to make sure that we were building the community at Jam City to make employees feel as though they can bring their true selves to work. And this meant, one, having really tough conversations around topics that were happening in the world, and then two, giving the platform to these communities and to these groups to be able to share their stories around their backgrounds and what they're able to bring in terms of their story to their product as well too. So Fran introduced our speaker series, which we have now now at Jam City, which is a monthly program that we do where we highlight different communities or different people at the company. We've had Pride speaker events. So we had a few members of our teams in Buenos Aires, as well as here in Los Angeles, talk about what Pride means to them. We also did an AAPI one with our CFO of the company, talking a little bit about the AAPI community and some of the complications and difficulties that that team or that community went through a few months ago as well too, and just the ongoing discussion around that. And we continue to leverage the speaker series as a stage for these stories to be brought to the center of our company as well too. This is really powerful because it allows our employees, again, to share their stories, and allows others who may not have direct communication with these teams, if otherwise, to hear these stories and learn a little bit more outside of their immediate sphere of influence as well too. I think after our speaker series, another big important thing for us was also looking outside of the company and seeing what organizations are already doing the work and how can Jam City just further their mission as well. So as somebody on the recruiting team, I specifically looked at that from the recruiting lens and said, where are there organizations that are already specifically doing work for specific communities that we can go and either sponsor, provide resources for, or further amplify their mission? And that one of the organizations actually is GGP. So with GGP, we started our partnership about a year and a half ago. And since then, we've done a couple of different initiatives together. One of them was the most recent virtual Pride event that we did, where we hosted 7 panels from Jam City employees talking a little bit about different parts of expertise within the industry. So 1, how to get into game development. 2, why gender representation in the industry matters. 3, how to create the strong portfolio that you need to land an art or design position, and then a few other topics that we also had as well too. This was all coordinated and led up by our Jam City team and sponsored also by the GGP team as well too. Second to that, we also have our annual internships that we provide for GGP scholars. So we invite anywhere between 3 to 6 or 7 students that were recognized by ESA and GGP to also intern with us at Jam City around a specific team of their choice. We really feel that this specifically harps on the notion of equity and making sure that students feel that they have an actual place to go while they're still interning and while they're still learning a little bit about where they want to end up in the industry. So we've had about 4 previous GGP scholars already go through our teams within game production, game design, consumer insights, and game art. And this fall, we'll continue to bring that back with more teams as well too, again, with the goal of being able to create a space for these students to be able to come in and actually work with industry experts to get more experience so that once they are ready to propel into the industry, they have that background already. Another thing that we do here at Jam City, again, around recruiting partnerships, is also look at other communities outside of just LGBTQIA, but also the Black and Latinx community. I think for anyone who looks at the industry, you know that there's a lot of opportunity specifically within this space. So at Jam City, we've partnered with Next Play Events over a year ago. We've done 2 events with them. And Next Play, they're experts at putting on events for Black and Latinx engineers and tech. So Jam City has sponsored several of their events, most recently their first in-person event in Oakland, where we actually had a Jam City artist come and paint different sketches of different attendees. And we had recruiters on the ground as well as engineers on the ground to be able to speak to different engineers who were also there about the opportunities within the gaming industry as well. So when it comes to recruiting partnerships, we really feel that the best strategy there is to be able to amplify the mission that other companies are already doing and being able just to bring the resources that Jam City has to them to be able to support that. Another big thing that we've done internally as well is improve communication around these different discussions within diversity and inclusion. We've done this by 1, introducing employee roundtables. So whenever there's, a big, maybe specific activity or event that happens, within a specific community within the world, for example, around AAPI that happened a few months ago and the brutal attacks that we saw on the AAPI community, our teams felt that it was important to create a safe space for employees to talk about this. So we hosted roundtables. We did this pretty similarly back in February for Black History Month, as well as for Pride Month as well. And these are safe spaces where employees can come, have a facilitated discussion, but above all else, be able to share their true thoughts around specific events that are happening in the world. We also introduced diversity newsletters into the company. So every single month, we send out newsletters that highlight the specific either days of that month or different celebrations that are happening in that month as well too. And we believe this will just bring awareness to our teams around the different communities that work at Jam City and the different things that are happening in the world as well too. And then lastly, another thing that we've done at Jam City is also really double down on how we build employee resource groups and networks for employees to also meet others that are similar to them. So at Jam City, we built out B, which is our Black employee network. And specifically, this group brings community to our Black employees in the company and creates a safe space for them to also meet and network with others who might share a similar identity to them. We also have groups for LGBTQIA as well as women at Jam City as well. Over the next few months and year, we plan on giving more resources to these groups and really leveraging them as dedicated experts for specific communities and really leveraging their knowledge to be able to improve our recruiting strategies as well as our inclusion strategies for the companies as well too. So these are just some of the many initiatives that we're doing here at Jam City. Again, none of this would be possible without the dedication of our leadership teams, as well as the dedication of our people teams, and then Fran Phillips, our head of D&I. We're really excited to continue doing a lot of this work throughout the remainder of 2021. And as things begin to open up again in the world and we're able to build more in-person activations, we really want to leverage that again and being able to build really stages and spaces for communities to come and gather, and Jam City being there to provide those resources as well too. So a huge thank you to GGP for all of the work that they've done in partnership with us here at Jam City. We can't wait to continue partnering together again in the new year. And to all other companies that are being recognized again today, a huge congratulations and a round of applause. Doing the work takes more than just one person, one team, and one company. It really takes a whole industry to make a change. So we're so proud of all of our different partners and all the different companies that are being recognized today as well.
Hello, ladies, gents, and my non-binary friends. My name is Francisca Phillips, and I lead the diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts at Gem City. In the past 8 months in this role as a new Gem citizen, I have experienced an immense sense of pride, working with individuals that make sure they are constantly fostering an environment that promotes belonging for everyone. We're open to dialogue, learning from one another, open to new topics, and celebrating our differences and sharing our stories. One of my favorite projects at Jam City so far has been the creation of our internal Jam sessions, where we strive to share, inspire, and learn through a series of candid conversations with our own Jam citizens. The first session we hosted was during March. Some of our female executives. We learned how they came to be at their current roles and how career paths may be different and non-traditional. In our second Gem session, we learned about the importance of inclusive language in job descriptions, during interviews, and in our daily work. 2 of our employees shared the creation of an inclusive language guide to help us rethink those terms we may be using daily. For example, in engineering, that we should challenge and change for a more inclusive vocabulary. In June, we hosted a Jam session titled The Importance of Being Authentic, and our panelists share their stories and how being able to show up as your true self impacts your product and quality of work in a positive way. My message to the world is be there for others. Everyone can be an ally and everybody needs an ally. It is our responsibility to give a voice to those that don't have one and to use ours when it is needed. Thank you so much.
I'm first of all honored to be recognized as a part of this amazing celebration on a really important topic in the industry. So I'm excited to talk a little bit about the work that I've been doing. Before I even jump into any of that, none of it would be possible without extensive partnerships in the company that I've had. And that includes partnerships with our people teams, our recruiting teams, our communication teams, and of course, all of our game development teams that I've had the chance to work with as well too. I think one of the big things that makes my role, easier, it's not an easy role, but easier, is of course the amazing culture that we have here at Jam City that allows me to feel that I can bring my ideas and my true self into the work that I do. The culture here at Jam City is one that's very approachable, welcoming. We hire people from a ton of different backgrounds outside of just gaming. And for somebody like me coming into a role like this, that's so critical, it's so important that I'm in a culture that allows me to form partnerships to further push the work that I want to do within the company as well too. So I always like to say that first, because while yes, some of this work is directly connected to me, a lot of it wouldn't be possible actually all of it wouldn't be possible without the amazing partnerships that I've had here in the company. I joined the team about 1.5 years ago. Prior to Jam City, I was also at another gaming publisher where I really previously found a passion for diversity and inclusion just because I saw how much missing representation there was in the industry, not only in gaming, but also of course in tech. As somebody who grew up, with nobody in my family within the tech space, I didn't really understand the opportunities that there were in this space. So it wasn't until a few years in my career where I began to see that there was this whole missing gap of people that looked like me, who are creating games or who were leading these companies that were creating these games. And that's where really I fell in love with finding ways of improving this representation. So that was my entry into diversity and inclusion. Since then, here at GM City, I've had the chance to not only work on recruiting initiatives that help improve representation, but also helping showcase some of our amazing talent to external organizations that also will help us attract this talent into the company as well. This is done through forming a lot of partnerships that I've had the chance to work with. I not only help on larger level recruiting strategies and initiatives, but also student recruiting as well. And for me, it was really important that not only we were recruiting from these, top game development studios and top game development schools and programs, but even more so in communities where maybe there were smaller gaming programs, but there was amazing talent that wasn't being harped on as well too. So one of the first things that I wanted to do was look at, what schools are we recruiting from? Where do we have more opportunities for more, whether it's a, historically Black college or a university that specifically focuses on recruiting underrepresented talent into their gaming programs. It was important for me to partner with these schools in order to push Jam City's brand and message forward to students as well too, so that they knew that there was more opportunities outside of just major gaming publishers. So that was one of the first things that I looked at when I joined GM City. From there, it was important for me to also look at where outside of GM City is there work being done already that GM City can simply support or further push. And that was through finding whether it was nonprofits or other recruiting organizations that were specifically helping improve representation for these communities. One of those amazing companies is Gay Gaming Professionals, GGP. Round of applause. GGP has been an amazing partner to us for the last year. We've done everything from internship programming, as well as different virtual events that we've done with them. They've been amazingly open and honest with us around feedback and initiatives that we wanted to introduce, and they've allowed us to also run wild with all the ideas that we have when it comes to building these partnerships. Outside of GGP, we've also done event-based partnerships with companies like Latinas in Tech and Next Play Community, which focuses on improving representation for Latinx and Black talent within the space of tech and gaming. They've also been amazing partners to us and allowing us to really, bring ideas to the table and then also understanding the needs of these communities that we were to be serving as well too. So these events and these partnerships have allowed us to, again, further push our goal of improving representation in the gaming, but doing so in a way that isn't so us pounding our chest, but rather us giving the stage to companies that are already doing the amazing work and simply either sponsoring or further pushing their message forward as well too. And then another thing that I've also been a part of is also finding ways of highlighting our employees in the company, externally as well as internally, that want to share their identities or more about their stories. We've done this through spotlight posts on our LinkedIns and external social pages. We've done internal newsletters that highlight different studios and different employees from our studios in Buenos Aires, Bogota, Berlin, and in Canada. And then we've also done the work to be able to create creative content around these employees as well. So just recently, we're introducing a spotlight blog that's going to allow us to hear more from different employees in different departments. And really the goal there is not only to highlight different positions and teams in the company, but also different backgrounds. We are an international company, and I think it's important that we highlight the different traditions and cultures of employees at the company. So we're doing that through different blog posts or different video posts as well too. And that personally is my favorite, I think, initiative that I'm working on right now, just because I'm a huge lover of storytelling, and I feel that story is so powerful, and it really allows you to understand and align and find kind of common ground with a lot of different people that you might not otherwise. So those are just a few of the initiatives that I've had the chance to work on here at Jam City. Again, none of this would be possible without different teams that I get the chance to work with, and also without, I think, really grounded values that we have here at Jam City, and why we feel that it's important to improve inclusion in the gaming space as well too. So luckily I work with an amazing team that already brings this passion to what they do and already has that at the forefront of their mind. So for me, it just makes it easy to bring ideas, have a team that supports it, and then build it out in a partnership with a lot of them as well too. So thank you again, GGP, for this incredible honor. I'm so excited to continue working together with y'all as well. And thank you for always making a stage open to myself and different companies who not only want to share the amazing work that they're doing, but also want to get feedback on the work that they're doing and hear from other members of the industry as well too. So thank you to everyone, and I'll see you later on.
Love doesn't always happen all at once. Sometimes it takes time, or in the case of our next game, 15 years. Our Life, Beginnings, and Always is a visual novel that lets the player customize their experience while taking their time to get to know their partner. Love is complicated, and that's why GGP is honoring GB Patch Games.
Hello, my name is David Clark. I'm an employee of GB Patch Games, and I will be speaking on behalf of the team. I'm the lead editor for all of GB Patch Games, including the game which has gained us this recognition, Our Life. Our Life is a wholesome visual novel about growing up and making the life you want to live. It allows the player to fully customize their protagonist, choosing their name, what they look like, their feelings, gender expression, including pronouns, and it allows you to change who you are as time goes on. The characters within the game world are there to support your growth and development. They are also diverse and unique in their own ways. The story has ups and downs. You don't always have to be nice or happy to get a positive result, but overall, it is a reaffirming story that will hopefully brighten the player's day. The characters in the game say a lot of encouraging things, and sometimes it may feel like they aren't real because it's just a game. But we want our players to remember that there are real people who wrote those words and mean them. There's a community out there who supports you. Thank you for playing, and thank you for featuring us here.
It's tough for me to take on the internet, let alone trying to reestablish itself after being away for so long. G4 Media wants to prove that it's not just TV for gamers, but for everyone by tackling mental disorders with their Destroy the Stigma campaign. Let's honor G4.
Hi, I'm Rihanna Manuel, Director of Brand at G4 TV, and I'm here to talk about our Destroy the Stigma campaign that we did in collaboration with Rise Above the Disorder, or RAD. And something that's really important to us at G4 is mental health. And unfortunately, the conversations around mental health often leave out one critical component, and that's access to care. What RAD does is they eliminate a lot of the barriers to mental health care for people who need it. And the thing that RAD is especially amazing at is helping people find care for free, or working with their insurance carrier if they have one, in making it more possible to get the type of care someone needs. G4 is, of course, a comedy and gaming destination, and RAD was created for a former guild member in a WoW group, and they get the internet. They understand how difficult and challenging it can be to interact with the world online, and some of the ways it can be harmful. And of course, that's a very unique perspective for both caregivers and also for an organization helping you find caregivers that really fit your needs. Something else that's really, really important for us at G4 is the conversation around the socioeconomic disparity for mental health care possibilities. And when you are a woman of color like me, or a person who is queer or disabled, it can be especially difficult to find a therapist that can really connect and empathize with you in the way that they need to in order to properly care for you in your mental health. So what we did with RAD is we created a campaign just talking about mental health. We wanted to literally destroy the stigma around seeking help and finding people who can connect you with the proper mental health caregivers. And we came up with the idea on a call with Jason Dockton, the CEO of RAD, and had the idea that we could show a bunch of our G4 talent destroying the stigma of mental health, but literally destroying something with the word stigma on it, as a way to invite some fun and a stunt and, some entertainment, because mental health care doesn't need to be a serious, intense conversation. It could be something that's very lighthearted, because it's something that almost everybody needs to talk about at some point in their lives. And again, the point is to destroy the stigma. The point is to talk about it. We all need good mental health. It's part of our basic human needs, and we want to bring more people closer to that. And the Destroy the Stigma campaign was pretty successful. Throughout the month of May, Rise Above the Disorder was able to raise over $500,000. And each shirt that they sold, that we also promoted during the campaign, is enough to cover a week of therapy for somebody in need. And RAD services being offered completely free of charge, they really do focus on fundraising, and all of that money goes back into providing care for people who are seeking it. So we were extremely, extremely proud of what we were able to accomplish with RAD, and our G4 talent and staff all contributed, and we couldn't be more pleased with the results. So I wanted to say thank you to RAD, Jason Dockton, the CEO, and everybody on their team who were able to help us get the word out about the Destroy the Stigma campaign. Of course, thank you to all of my incredible team members at G4. And thank you for listening to this message. And the last thing that I would want to leave you with is, if you're really struggling with mental health, number one thing I would suggest, the number one thing we all want, is for you to talk about it. It doesn't have to be a secret, and there doesn't have to be a stigma.
What happens when the world tells you no? In the case of our next title, it means that you keep going. Aerial Knight's Never Yield came from a developer who wanted to tell a story with action and music. When publishers told him he wasn't going anywhere, Aerial Knight kept running. Let's find out more about the game we're honoring tonight.
Yo, what's good? I'm Neil. I go by Aerial Knight Online, and I'm the creator and developer of Aerial Knight's Never Yield. A game created here in Detroit by me and some of my amazing friends. And I'm so honored and grateful to have the opportunity to be here and virtually and speak with you all today. And I hope that one day I get to see all of you lovely people in person. But I just want to say that the game industry has an issue. It has a problem with making space for people that are different ideas, different concepts, and what to do with those people and ideas, and how to blend them into the game industry and make their ideas a place of growth and turn them into these amazing games and experiences. But I just want to say, everybody watching, no matter if you're a developer, a creator, a streamer, anything, you have the power. You drive the game industry. My high school coach used to say that things don't change, they remain the same unless you change them. And that has been what drove me while making this game, because we can change things. We have the power as long as we continue to support each other and support the things that we care about so much. I ramble a lot. I talk really fast. I'm sorry. Let me take a breath. The point is, we're all in this together. And throughout the development and the marketing and the launch of Never Yield, I just was able to talk to so many amazing people and meet so many amazing players and gamers and streamers who are all on board with just supporting each other in new forms of content, and these new game developers that are popping up all over the game industry. And the more we support them, the more of them will arise. So thank you so much. If you played Never Yield, thank you so much for playing. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for being here. Thank you for just putting out that good and positive energy. And I just want to say that We all matter, no matter what our backgrounds are, so we should all be kind and support each other the best we can. Thank you so much, and never yield.
As esports grows around the globe, so too does the concern of toxicity, both in and off the digital field. This sports team wants to change that. Dignitas has not only won tournaments, but won over hearts and minds with their approach to diversity, mental health, and supporting women in gaming. Let's honor these champions on and off the field.
Hi, I'm Mel.
I'm Jen.
I'm Olivia.
John here.
And I'm Hugo. We're the D&I group for Dignitas, and we're thrilled to participate in this year's GGP Honors.
Our goal at Dignitas is to lead the gaming industry in the amplification of social issues and advancement of underrepresented communities.
To demonstrate our commitment to D&I, Dignitas launched Radiant, an esports and gaming initiative focused on championing opportunities for women gamers. This team-agnostic initiative will provide aspiring women gamers with educational, social, and competitive resources to become tomorrow's gaming influencers.
Dignitas launched DigAx, a series of live streams where players, content creators, and the Dignitas staff raised money for nonprofits like Act to Change, RAD, and of course, GGP, while doing what they do best, playing games.
Last year, to celebrate Pride, Dignitas added a flag customization option to our jerseys. Here, fans could choose to add an identifying flag to encourage our community to show up as one's authentic self. Proceeds of the jersey sales went to the Trevor Project.
We take mental health and neurodiversity very seriously at Dignitas. We partnered with Rise Above the Disorder, a nonprofit organization dedicated to removing the two greatest barriers to mental health care, access and affordability, for a series called Mental Health Mondays.
Each Monday, the Dignitas social media channels presented information related to important causes, advice segments, exercises, and daily tips to improve mental health. Dignitas players and content creators told their own stories, connecting with fans directly to discuss their own experiences.
At Dignitas, we are here to support and champion those who make us unique through our differences, and together we will facilitate positive change to ensure the health and longevity of our beloved gaming community.
Thanks,
GGP!
They say that a picture is worth 1,000 words, but Umurangi Generation wants to tell you the rest of the story. Created during the Australian fires that painted the sky red, Umurangi Generation tasks you to snap pictures of the brighter side of a future hellscape while ignoring government corruption, the pandemic, and suffering in the streets. Let's honor or a game digital.
Direct your attention
It might stand for good game, but the esports organization, Gen G, wants to stand for more than being one of the top teams in tournaments around the world. From their $1 million commitment to supporting underrepresented players, to supporting diversity in the content community through their initiatives, Gen G is ready to take on the world. Let's honor Gen G.
Hi, I'm Gina, the CMO of Gen G Esports, where our mission is to change the game. In 2020, we launched the Gen G Foundation, which is a 10-year commitment that Gen G and our partners have made to further education within esports for people of color, for women, and for people from low-income communities. In the first year, we were able to award 12 scholarships to students in need. And this year, in 2021, we are getting ready to unveil our new class, and we are really, really excited for that. Gen G's message for the community is that not everybody has equal access to all opportunities, so it's important for organizations and people like us to provide that opportunity. And with that, I think we'll see amazing results, and we're so excited for the future of gaming.
2 recent graduate students sit at the edge of life. As the college doors close behind them, what will become of everything they know, and what will they become next? No Longer Home takes a look to answer these questions in its second coming-of-age tale, where growing up often means leaving your past self and all the baggage that goes with it behind. Let's hear from the developers at Humble Grove as we honor the title.
Hi, I'm Sol. We're Humble Grove. We worked on No Longer Home, which came out last month in July. No Longer Home is a game that is semi-autobiographical about our experiences after graduating from university.
No Longer Home features 2 non-binary protagonists called Bo and Dell, and they just graduated university and are getting ready to move out of the flat.
In No Longer Home, you have barbecues, talk to friends, and play video games. It's very much a slice of life game about domestic mundanity.
In No Longer Home, we wanted to normalize the lives of non-binary people rather than blatantly celebrating it, if that makes sense. It's just to show that non-binary people are just normal people that you see every day.
Right, yeah, I mean that was important because it's a game essentially about us, and we didn't want to turn ourselves into tropes. No Longer Home has a prelude chapter, Fiery Road, which takes place at a barbecue once everyone else has left. Al and Bo are left there, and they're staring out at the sky. It deals with Bo grappling with their gender identity, and it's about Bo coming out to Al as non-binary.
And from there, Al also realizes that being non-binary is something that they could identify as well, and pretty much changes their perspective on gender.
Yeah, and this prelude was also, again, based on our own experiences. Like we had that that after the barbecue, and we spent a long time talking about gender.
Probably till 2 in the morning or something.
Yeah, very late.
So in No Longer Home, we really focus on the intersectionality of gender and sexuality with other aspects of our lives. For example, Ao is a Japanese student who's getting ready to go back to Japan. And while being non-binary, they have all these other problems in their life, like visas or issues or some dilemmas with their nationality, and that all intersects with each other. So nothing in No Longer Home is like a standalone non-binary story.
And for Bo, their gender intersects with them being working class. For example, in some of their monologues, they talk about working with their dad and the difficulty they face with talking to like some of the more laddish people at work.
So I think it's quite difficult to tell stories that are only about being non-binary or being about a certain gender or sexuality, because there's not much genuineness coming out of that. You have to sort of spice that up with other aspects of your lives, like, you know, do you live in poverty or have you a certain race? These things always kind of like come in conjunction with each other. and it's very difficult to tell these stories apart.
Yeah, and I think part of why No Longer Home feels so genuine is because it is based on our own experiences, and like I think that does come through in the writing. I think often when you get games that are made by these huge teams, you kind of you do lose something in the writing. I feel like there's not a lot of like big LGBT games where I feel like they've like really hit the writing really well. I would like to see more games that pull from people's own experiences.
So that, I think it's important to hire more people from different diverse backgrounds rather than having a very status quo sort of team, because you can directly draw from people's experiences and make your story more lush and realistic and relatable even.
Yeah, I think like representation alone doesn't work. You need the representation to be representational in your team.
So I think it's kind of like the problem that the Oscars has, for example, where they're making new categories, like does your film have this marginalized person in it, or is it directed by this marginalized person? Only to win awards and get recognition, and that doesn't really fix the problem of the industry, and that's the same for the game industry, because people at the top are still the same. You have to bring the marginalized people up in order for games to be more diverse and to be more diverse as well.
We all know there are some huge problems in this industry, and I'd like to see those problems addressed and workers' rights focused on. And hopefully, once we've done that, we can see more diverse stories.
Yeah, thank you, GGP, for including us in your ceremony.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Building huge worlds to explore in gaming is no easy task. Joahanna Thomas of Avalanche Studios takes on making the real world better through the creation of diversity and inclusion starter kits for developers and by taking her message around the world. It's time that we honor this leader in the field of DEI. One of the biggest names in mobile gaming not only wants you to explore your community, but wants to make it a better place. Niantic Games started the Black Developers Initiative to support, mentor, and finance Black game development teams. And that's just the beginning. Let's take a moment to honor Niantic.
Hi everyone, my name is Mason, and as many of you already know, I'm a part of the GGP family. I'm actually here today to honor our friends and partners over at Niantic and honor all of the amazing work they've done over the past year. I wanted to highlight a few programs they've committed to making our industry and our world a better place. One of the many efforts that they're proud of is called the Niantic's Black Developers Initiative, which is a program established to support, mentor, and finance Black game development teams for the purpose of building real-world AR games. Their intention is to empower Black game and AR developers and provide access, resources, and support so that they can build amazing game experiences that inspire people to explore the world together. Niantic also offers a total of 7 ERG spaces, and I wanted to highlight all of those. Those include Guardians, which is the parents and caregivers community, Legend, the disability and accessibility community, Compass, which is their LGBTQ+ community, Wakanda, the Black community at Niantic, Nianticos, the Latinx community, AAPI, the Asian American and Pacific Islander community, and Wolfpack, which is their women and marginalized genders community at Niantic. Lastly, Niantic would also like to give a special mention to their own head of diversity and inclusion, Trinidad Hermida. Not only is Trinidad able to serve as a visionary and voice for those underrepresented communities in the gaming industry, but she drives systemic change that can serve as a foundation for others to continue to build in this space. So once again, thank you Niantic, thank you Trinidad, and thank you for your continued effort and differences that you're making in this industry.
We've recognized a lot of companies and organizations, but what about individuals? Tiffany Witcher is a non-binary VTuber on Twitch, raising money for charities and spreading awareness about accessibility in gaming. You don't need to be a witch on Twitch to know that doing either is a huge accomplishment. Let's shine a light on Tiffany Witcher.
Good time zone to you. My name is Tiffany Witcher, and I'm known as the Charity Witch on Twitch. I've raised over $30,000 for charities, especially for the Lupus and Epilepsy Foundation, in honor of my mother, Myra Witcher, who unfortunately passed in 2017 due to lupus. I'm an accessibility and chronic illness advocate, fighting for games to be more accessible and platforms like Twitch to be more accessible for those who are disabled. I'm also a voice actor. I've voice acted in over 20 different indie games that you can play on Steam or on console. My experience in diversity in games started out as a kid. I didn't really see a lot of characters that looked like me, and as a woman of color who's Black and Indigenous, it was really kind of disheartening growing up. And now we're in a day and age where I can see characters that look like me. I can see characters from the LGBTQIA too as well. I can even see non-binary characters, which makes me especially happy. We are getting so much better with inclusivity in the gaming space, but we still have a long way to go. I really want more of this, and I hope to see more of this in the future. Not just for me, but future gamers and devs coming up, because gaming should be for everyone. I would like to leave this community knowing that there is hope. There is hope that things will get better, and there is hope that we are moving in the right direction. But the fight is not over. We need to keep pushing for the things that we want to see in video gaming, and for those with accessibility needs, that everyone can play these games. Because accessibility in video games should be a foundation and not a checklist. I thank you all for having me here today. This is a true honor, and I would especially like to thank my community. Without you, I would not be here.
Hello, it's me again, Leslie Pirritano, your best friend over at AMD. On behalf of both AMD and myself, thank you so much for including us in this day and recognizing the work that we do for diversity, equity, and inclusivity in the video game industry. The thing that I'm probably the most proud of that I've been directly driving over at AMD is our AMD Red Team program. And with our AMD Red Team program, there's been a specific focus on diversity so that we all can have representation. So my goal in the program is that anybody who sees an AMD Red Team member or who looks at AMD Red Team can find themselves in it and can therefore see themselves as part of the video game industry. So representation is important. Let's celebrate who we are all the time. And the way I hope that we at AMD are doing that is by bringing in that diversity and that representation within AMD Red Team. And we have so many spectacular people who are a part of that belief as well, who are working with us. So again, on behalf of AMD and myself, thank you so much.
Hi everyone, my name is Mason, and as many of you know, I'm from the GGP family. For today's video, actually, I'm going to be honoring Epic Games and specifically 3 individuals that have made a significant impact within their company. And those 3 individuals are Kay Vassy, Connor Dahl, and Jessica Plowman. So next, I just want to go over a few highlights that each individual has done to make a better workspace for Epic Games. Kay championed the creation of Epic Mega Gaze Resource Group. As a leader, she has driven the direction of the group, listened attentively to the needs of the members, and fosters a sense of community. Prior to her involvement, there was no safe space for LGBT folks to talk about issues that matter to them. Connor has kept the group organized, making sure to take notes every weekend that the group is held to task. They also created a small group for non-binary folks at the company to talk with each other. For many of them, it was the first time they ever met with other non-binary folks and had a chance to talk about issues that impacted them. Jessica joined the Epic Mega Gaze Leadership Council a few months ago. Earlier this year, she championed the creation of pronouns presentation to help introduce teams to the usage of pronouns. The presentation explains why pronouns are important, personal, and how language is ever evolving over time to become more inclusive. She presented this to some key groups at the company and moving forward to present it to more groups to help spread the word. So that's it for the 3 of them. Again, thank you, Kay, Connor, and Jessica for being involved in creating a safe workplace for the LGBT folks over at Epic Mega Games. And thank you from the GGP family. For today, I'm going to be honoring our friends and partners over at Dreamhaven and just going over a few of the initiatives that they created for their studio during the past year that creates a better world for our industry. This past year, they hosted an internal panel for Pride Month to learn more about team members and how Dreamhaven can continue evolving into a welcoming and inspirational place for people from all backgrounds. They also invited GLAD to speak to the entire company, and other efforts ranged from unconscious bias training and an internal book club currently featuring relevant titles. And one program that they're especially proud of is that in their first year, they partnered with us here at GGP on their scholarship program. In addition to financial rewards, the scholarship program will include mentorship opportunities for the 2 Dreamhaven scholars and some workshops for all of the other 7 GGP scholars. So once again, thank you to our friends and partners at Dreamhaven. We are incredibly proud to be honoring you for the first annual GGP Honors. Today we'll be honoring Facebook Reality Labs, or FRL, and all of their significant efforts made in the past year to promote diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. First, I'm going to be discussing the inward-facing programs that they've created within their company. First up, we have FRL DEI Disruptors. Now, this is a quarterly DEI speaker series that leverages external speakers to help drive powerful conversations around inclusion, the importance of representation in media, the impact of building a team with diverse creatives, and the value of diverse audiences. The purpose of FRL Disruptors is to connect their organization with brands and creatives that disrupt the status quo. Next is IRL, which stands for Inclusion and Representation Lens. This is a panel that they created during the second half of 2020 to ensure that their Portal and Oculus creative work is considered diverse and inclusive. The panel is made up of underrepresented marketers from across the FRL marketing organization who have the functional expertise in cultural context to review work at critical stages throughout the creative process. The stories we tell matter, and it matters how we tell them. They created this panel to ensure that their stories are told in the most inclusive ways possible. Next is the brand principles. During the worldwide social unrest of 2020, shining a light on inequality among Black, Brown, and marginalized communities, their team resolved to come up with guiding DEI brand principles for their brands to serve as a guiding light for how they show up in the world through their external marketing. Next, I'm going to be moving on to their outward-facing programs that they have that helps promote diversity. First, we have Oculus Launchpad. Oculus Launchpad is a program designed to support promising VR content creators from diverse backgrounds so that they can take up their unique ideas, bring them to the market, and help diversify their content library with unique voices. The program provides qualifying applicants hands-on support and education during a 2-day bootcamp and 3-month online education program. Program members will join a growing online community of peers with additional coaching from Oculus experts as they develop their projects into a working demo. Next is Spark AR. Spark AR is a studio within Facebook that allows users to create their own augmented reality filters. When cultural celebrations and important events arise, FRL creates Spark AR filters commemorating them. And most recently, the Pride Spark AR effect allowed users to showcase their pride with various backgrounds, pride flags, and virtual stickers. Next is VR for Good. They've only just started to explore VR's creative potential, from storytelling and community building to drive positive social change in the world. The Oculus VR for Good program aims to harness the power of VR technology to help transform education, improve productivity, advance social movements, and expand their understanding of people and cultures around the world, all through the power of virtual reality. Now, lastly, I'd like to highlight the Build for Inclusion Developer Series, which is their interactive learning series streaming quarterly on Facebook Live and Oculus venues to amplify the work of underrepresented creators on and off the Facebook platforms. BFI was designed as a platform to keep diverse developers connected, informed, entertained to build community, and be an ongoing resource on their journey within the AR/VR creator ecosystem. All right, that's it. Thank you again to our partners over at Facebook Reality Labs, and thank you from the GGP team. We are incredibly proud of you and to have you here and be honored on our first GGP Honors.
That's a wrap for the first ever GGP Honors, but the work we have highlighted tonight does not end here. Every month, GGP creates content to highlight the best in the industry when it comes to diversity and inclusion. There will always be a need for more when it comes to helping developers and students find their path. GGP would like to thank all the honorees in making this historical event happen. Thank you to Gordon Bellamy, the founder of GGP, and without his vision, none of this would be possible. Thank you to the team for putting this together, and thank you for watching. And if you would like to find out more about GGP, you can find their links below to their Discord. I'm your host, MALIKA LIM EUBANK. You can find me and all my links at hyperrpg.com.